Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Denise Salcedo, and I am very happy to bring you today's interview with none other than star of I Am Vengeance, Retaliation, STU Bennett. What's up, Stu?
Denise, thank you very much for having me on. Really nice to chat.
I know, you know what, congratulations on the film. You know, this is very exciting. I was able to see the first one, and seeing the second one was really exciting. How did it feel to reprise the role of John Gold once again?
I loved it. I mean, the first one, I Am Vengeance, came out in 2018, and I think almost immediately we got the budget for the second one and started shooting it. So it's just about to get released this Friday in the US. Great fun. Love the character. Love working with Evolutionary Films, who make the film. Ross Boyas, the writer and director, is a great guy to be working with too. And at this point in my acting career, I'm still relatively new to the game. To be getting opportunities like this one with I Am Vengeance Retaliation to reprise John Gold and start building a bit of a franchise is amazing for me. And to get consistent lead role positions is fantastic. I'm very lucky.
Were you surprised by that, the opportunity to, you know, do this film once again?
No, Denise, I expect to be the best. No, it's I realize I'm very lucky. It's something that was pitched to me originally in about 2015, was this concept for I Am Vengeance, and the fact that the plan was to make it into a franchise with multiple sequels and stuff like that. But it's something you always take that with a pinch of salt when you're promised big things in the entertainment industry. I'm sure you're aware of that yourself,
right,
working in this game. You hear great things all the time, and quite often they don't turn out to be true. So the fact that Evolutionary Films have never lied to me and everything they've ever told me has come true tells me what great guys they are, and I'm fortunate to be working with them.
That's incredible. And here's the thing about John Gold. John Gold is a real badass. There's lots of action and violence in this film. So what kind of training did you do to sort of stay in top-notch condition for the film?
Yeah, I think because my background is professional wrestling, and I basically had to be on TV twice a week in a little pair of Speedos pretending to fight people. So I was kind of used to being in tip-top shape from that. I think I've transitioned slightly as I've left the wrestling ring, and my weight training and fitness regimen is slightly different now. But for the most part, I've been an athlete for the best part of 20 years. So to stay in good shape is just natural for me now, and I can't imagine letting myself go. I think a lot of people, when they retire from a kind of athletic industry, tend to let themselves go a little. I've never been that way, and I quite enjoy the process of staying in shape and keeping on top of my diet and all that stuff, and I can't imagine stopping. So I don't find it too difficult at this point.
And, you know, here's the thing is that we've seen a lot of wrestlers transition into Hollywood, and, you know, you've been doing that. So what would you say are the pros of being a wrestler turned actor?
The pros of a wrestler turned actor, I think the biggest pro at the moment is the success of guys like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Dave Bautista. I think the credibility of being a professional wrestler, if you go back 20 years, trying to transition into acting, people would really look down their nose at that. And the success of guys like The Rock and Bautista, and the fact that they are the faces of some of the biggest movies that ever get made, and the highest earning actors in Hollywood, and their performances are actually incredible when you study what they're doing and their facials and all that stuff. I think it's a very good time for a pro wrestler to be dipping their toe in the water of the acting world. Professional wrestlers are performers. That's what we do. We portray characters, and especially in the world of action film, it's a very natural transition, I think, to a lot of people. And, you know, I think a lot of directors like working with pro wrestlers because we don't require many stunt guys to do the kind of falls and the fight scenes and stuff for us, and we kind of take a little ego pride in doing everything ourselves, which for the sake of the film, it always looks better if you can do that stuff yourself as opposed to getting the stunt guys in to do it for you.
I know, right? Cut out the middleman. And here's the thing too, is that it's opening up so many more doors. Like you said, you know, having people like Bautista and whatnot going out there and doing that, it's opening more doors for wrestlers to go into acting. But here's the thing that I also want to talk about with John Gold is that I feel like this is the character that all men want to be, you know, like the really cool guy that can do it all. So did you take any inspirations from any other lead male action stars to incorporate into John Gold?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I grew up in the 80s, and the kind of films that I was watching were the Sylvester Stallone films back then, stuff like Rambo, obviously the Arnold Schwarzenegger stuff too. And this film, I Am Vengeance, Retaliation, is very much an ode to those kind of 80s classics. It's in that same style. And for me, that's the kind of film I love. I love watching those guys. A bit of Steve McQueen in there, perhaps, some of the older stuff too. And yeah, I remember, it's funny you should say that. I remember being on set and I was taking some pictures with the huge machine guns and on motorcycles and stuff like that, just as little teasers for people a couple of years ago. And I put on there, I was putting on the hashtag every man's dream.
Yes,
because
exactly.
I was, it's exactly what it is to be able to go out and do this stuff and have fun. It really makes it a cool experience, and it's not work at all. It's just pure fun being on set doing that kind of stuff.
That's awesome. And what would you say is your favorite part of the filming process? You know, you get your script, you go out there, you do the raids, you do the action, then you have post-production and all of everything that involves making a film. But for you, what would you say is your favorite portion of that process?
I think my favorite portion, believe it or not, is I love the fight scenes in there. I love pretty much every aspect. I'm not involved at all in post-production. So since we finished filming, this week is the first, and we finished filming almost 2 years ago. This week is the first time I've really been back involved in this, which is the promotional side. So the post-production, the editing, all that stuff, that's far too technical for me, and I don't have the patience for it, so I'm not involved at all. That's a Ross Boyask role, and he's very good at that. But me, I love the fight scenes because it gives me a chance to get amped up, get angry, get in the zone for it. I know for a fact on the days when there's fight scenes, I am the worst person in the world to be around. I snap at everybody, I'm angry, but that's the kind of mentality I try to get into at these on these fight scenes day, to try and bring that energy and that aggressiveness that I like to display. And usually the next day I can have to say a couple of apologies for being short with people and things like that.
You're
and,
like, sorry, I was just trying to get my head in the game here.
Exactly. So those are the moments I love, but I become a very different person on those days and tend to get a little short-tempered, which is a fault of mine. But I think it's worth it in the end with the product we get from it.
And speaking of, you know, all the action scenes being your favorite, was there a specific action scene or a specific scene at all during I Am Vengeance Retaliation that you felt was your personal favorite?
Yeah, I'd say I loved working with Vinnie Jones in every scene because I'm a huge fan of his. Since I was a little kid, really, his soccer playing days and his time in film, I've been a fan of so much of what he's done in both his careers. But I'd say for me, I was actually surprised by probably my favorite scene in the film is a fight scene I do with a lady called Katrina Durden. It's the first time in my wrestling or film career where I've had to do a combat style scene with a female. And going into it, I remember Ross, the director, was telling me about his vision for this scene. And I thought, oh, this isn't going to go well. I'm 6'6", I'm 250 pounds. I knew the lady involved was very good. I'd seen some of her work before, but I thought the size difference and everything was going to be horrible. But she worked such an intelligent method of fighting in the scene that I think it all makes sense. And Tim Mann, the fight choreographer, helped us out massively with it. I think it's almost like a bumblebee attacking a rhino, and she's flying around with all her cool ninja stuff, and I'm using my power and strength when I finally get to it. It's a really cool scene, and probably that's my favorite scene in the whole film for me personally. But there's a lot of cool stuff in there, and as you know, you've seen it. It's action packed for sure.
No, definitely. And I love that because we did get a lot of female action scenes, which I thought were pretty cool to have that, you know, incorporated into the film. But now I do want to talk about, what do you think are some similarities and some differences between yourself and John Gold?
Okay, that's good. I'd say similarities. John Gold is kind of a loner, and I'm a loner. I don't tend to hang out with too many people too many times these days. I tend to stick with, you know, my girlfriend and family at home, and that's about it. So he's definitely a loner. I'd like to think he is a character whose intentions are always good, although he doesn't always use the right methods to achieve his intentions. I like to think I'm a good person. The biggest difference is probably that John Gold is a complete badass who's scared of nobody, whereas I'm a little bit of a coward, to be honest with you. I'm not so tough. I look tough, I can play tough, but deep down, I'm a bit of a softie. So that's probably the biggest difference.
That's awesome. So now, what would you say are some of your future goals that you have, whether it's a role that you're dying to check off your bucket list, an actor or director that you want to work with? What are some of your goals?
Well, first of all, I'd love to continue this franchise. This is the second in the series. I'd like to make the point that it is a standalone film, even though I Am Vengeance, Retaliation, there are themes that continue from the first. It was specifically designed that if you haven't seen the first film, you're absolutely fine. It's a completely separate offshoot. So I'd like to do more with evolutionary films and Ross Boyask, and hopefully get a third one in this franchise. In addition to that, I would love to make a cowboy film.
Oh wow, that'd be
Like
awesome.
an old western or something like that. I'd probably have to do a little work on the accent first, or maybe I could be the English guy who comes over. And I think in Tombstone there's a character called English Bob, who's the greatest shooter out there, and maybe I can play something like that.
I think that would be really cool to sort of see you do the cowboy thing as well, because it'd be totally different, totally opposite from John Gold, but at the same time, still offer some of those same like tough characteristics of all of that. So now my last question for you is, if you could describe I Am Vengeance, Retaliation in 3 words or less, or tell viewers why they should watch it, what would it be?
Yeah, I'm not very good at the 3 words or less, but I will say it's a really cool ode to 80s action movies. So if you enjoy the old films of, guys like Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger and guys like that, which is what I grew up on, you're going to like this movie. It's an indie film. It's a little bit more grimy than what you're perhaps used to with the big Hollywood blockbusters and CGI and all that stuff. But there's a great narrative running through it. The action scenes are explosive and crazy. And I think you will enjoy it. Go in there with an open mind, have fun. We're not writing an Oscar winner here. We're not writing Shakespeare. It's just a joyous ode to 80s action, and that's what you're going to get. A lot of car chases, explosions, punch-ups, and hopefully the good guy will win in the end. We will see.
And where can people find you on social media?
Okay, my social media is, my Twitter is at Stu Bennett, and I have one of those little blue ticks, and my Instagram, I think, is at Stu Bennett Official. I probably should check that, but again, it's got a blue tick, and you'll find me on there, and I'll put up all, links to the trailer and all that stuff if you want to go check that out. The film is out in the US this Friday, which I think is the 19th of June. It's available on all VOD platforms for download there. And in the UK, if you've got fans watching from the UK, it's going to be out a little later there. It's going to be out on July 13th there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stu. For everyone watching, please do not forget to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and do not forget to check out I Am Vengeance, Retaliation, out in the US June 19th and the UK July 13th. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Stu. Have a great day, everyone.